It took a while for me to share my story. Not because I'm ashamed, but because I can't believe looking back, I was so vulnerable and made such a bad decision. I met Tony Knorr in May of this year. I was freshly divorced and wasn't looking for romance. I wasn't even looking for friendship. However, I did use social media to post photos of my dog. I was an Instagram wannabe star. I would post tons of pics of my husky, hoping I guess I could break it big with his Instagram photos and uploads. I had a lot of comments on my dog photos. All kinds of strangers followed me and made comments. I would usually take a Saturday to read the comments as I worked during the week and would check my DMs for messages. Most times it was just general comments and DMs saying they love this or that photo, and they would share photos of their dogs with me. Tony came into my DM with a photo of himself holding his dog. He said his dog's name was George, and that he and his dog lived in Texas. He shared a few photos of himself with his dog. He told me that he was hoping I was single and we could chat, since I love dogs so much. He asked me if I had WhatsApp. I told him I didn't, and I wasn't looking for a relationship, but I appreciated his comments in his DM. He said okay and left it at that. However, over the weeks, he kept commenting on my photos and stories. I finally sent him a DM and say he caught my attention with his kind comments, and I'd be up for a little chat. I thought he was a pretty handsome man from the photos he sent, so we started DMing each other via Instagram. He again asked me for my WhatsApp, to which I did not have it. He told me how to download it, and at first I wasn't sure about sharing my phone number, but then thought, well, he's harmless, and he had stuck around my page long enough, I'm sure he was okay. We exchanged phone numbers and started talking on WhatsApp. He said he was divorced for 5 years, and his wife had cheated with his best friend. Well, I felt that. My ex cheated on me with several women, and I only found out about it a year before our divorce, and we'd been married for well over 12 years. He said he had a daughter who was at private school in California. She was 9 years old. I never had kids, and his daughter's name was Emily. We started texting on WhatsApp for days at a time. Sometimes I would stay up late at night to talk to him. He said he was a marine engineer and would be going out on a contract in Dubai for a month. He showed me pictures of his work site in Dubai where he would be at. I asked who cares for his dog when he's away. He said he has a house person who cleans and watches his home while he's away and watches his dog. When I questioned him about his daughter being away for that long period of time, he said I should email his daughter and say hello. At first I felt uncomfortable, but as time went on I found myself getting more involved in his life, and if we were going to start dating in person, I would eventually meet his daughter at some point. He was very kind, and he sent me a message on WhatsApp, some flowers via text message, some song links, and he was very attentive to me. We talked daily. He told me he was falling for me, and admittingly I was falling for him as well. And as time went on, we committed to each other, and I found myself emailing his daughter. She would reply saying her daddy liked me and asked if I would be her mother. I felt that wasn't right, and I told her I'm just a friend for now. When he left for Dubai, he took photos from the plane and gave me his hotel information. He said he would call me when he arrived, and when he arrived he was busy. A few days into his trip, he said he would like to mail me a package, as he bought me gifts from the Dubai airport. I told him just to bring them when he arrives to meet me, as we planned to meet after his contract ended. He insisted he mailed these gifts to me, and I ended up giving him my address. He sent me a photo of a gold watch and a diamond ring. He said he wanted to marry me, but wanted me to try the ring on. It was all going so quickly, and I think being up for hours and late at night talking to him, the feeling of being in love and other factors clouded my judgment. I was literally falling asleep at my desk at work as I stayed awake late at night talking to him. Before anyone asks, yes, he did call me, and yes, he sounds like what I now know is a romance scammer. He said he went to boarding school in Holland, and as a kid he lived in Italy, and he did speak some Italian words to me, so I had no reason to believe he was lying. I had never spoken to anyone from that part of the world before. A few days after he mailed the package to me, I received a text via WhatsApp from the Global Precious Cargo Shipping Company. They said there was an issue with the box as the gold wasn't declared. I let Tony know about this, but he said he wouldn't be able to cover it as the box was already gone and he would get in trouble in Dubai if they found out that he didn't declare it. It would now be the receiver's responsibility. The shipping company asked for $780 to cover the over $25,000 in gold. I was shocked. I asked Tony why he would send so much. He said it was for love and I was his soulmate. I ended up agreeing to pay the cost of the $780. Tony said he would pay me back when he got home. When I replied to the shipping company, they told me I would have to wire transfer money or Bitcoin wallet transfer. I'd never used Bitcoin, so I asked, who do I wire the money to? The shipping company gave me the name of a man in Dubai. He was supposed to be the manager of this shipping company. I ended up sending the money through Western Union. I had to answer a bunch of questions that I knew him. I felt it was odd, but Tony wanted me to be clear of any problems and him to be clear of any problems because I wanted these lovely gifts. As soon as the money was set, I let Tony know that I paid it, and I gave the shipping company the transfer information as they asked for a copy of the receipt for their records. They then told me the package was released and mailed and it would take 15 days to arrive. The day before it was set to arrive, I would almost check my mail daily, obsessively looking for this package. Tony called me on WhatsApp. He was crying, saying there was an accident at the job site and he was responsible for the worker's safety and a worker was injured. The worker needed emergency surgery. I told him that's terrible and I would pray for the worker. Tony then told me he was being arrested as they didn't put the safety measures in place and the government of Dubai was holding him responsible. He then said they would have to take his phone. I kept sending message after message. The only text I got back from him was help, and then it went silent. Finally that night I received a phone call from Tony's WhatsApp. He let me know Tony was in prison for a safety violation and hurting a worker who needs surgery. He said Tony needs to pay $650,000 to the worker for care and a fine to the Dubai national government. I told him to contact Tony's employer, but he said I was the only contact in his phone and they need payment or he will be put through trial and given life in prison. I started to argue with him and told him I was going to call the U.S. government. This prince man said that they will do everything to make his life worse. They told me to get the money and transfer it into a company account. They gave me the company account. I told them I don't have that kind of money, and the prince told me to sell my house, my car, and everything I have to get the money. I started to yell louder at him as he was crazy. I hung up, and about 4 hours or so later, I get an email from Tony's daughter begging me to get her daddy out of jail. And she told me that I don't care or love him and that I'm a horrible mother. At this point, this was also absurd. I started to call the hotel where Tony said he was at when I called a man who sounded like Tony answered the phone and quickly hung up. I swear it was him. I then Googled the hotel number and finally got a totally different number than what Tony had given me for the hotel. I spoke to the hotel staff and they had absolutely no one by that name staying at the hotel, nor by his company name that he claimed he worked for. I started calling Tony on WhatsApp over and over again and then switching the numbers that he gave me for the hotel and calling both. A few times the hotel number picked up and I fully believe it was Tony's voice. I ended up blocking all the numbers and telling the daughter or whoever it was that I called the FBI and the CIA and they will rescue your father. Then I marked her emails as spam. After doing some research, which I should have done in the first place, I found out his phone number was linked to scam pages and he was a scammer. While I was out some money, it could have been a lot more. Thanks for letting me share my story. Please do your research before sending anything to anyone you meet online. And we'd like to thank this lady for sharing her story. If you want to share your encounter with a scammer, whether you lost money or not, you can find us on Facebook under the page Scamming Scammers Action. Drop us an email, scammingscammers@gmail.com. We will verify your story and narrate it into a video. Your story may help others. Until next time.